lack of clarity of that potential ceasefire extension. Well, the president, as well as Israel, have offered differing accounts of an agreement to curb fighting in Lebanon. In the meantime, something Iran insists must be part of a wider peace deal. Trump has told ABC News that he believes an agreement with Tehran could be reached over the next week. Let's get to Washington, and our politics editor, Laura Davison, joins us now. And Laura, so we continue to have this sort of, I guess, forward guidance from the president in terms of, the next little while, the next week, the next 7 days, I guess. At the same time, we know that the issue of Hezbollah and what happens in that geography has been contested for a long time between Israel and Iran.
Yes, today was sort of a similar story that we've seen play out over the past several days, with just a slightly different flavor. We have mixed messages from the White House and Israel, as well as from Iran. Trump came out in the afternoon Monday in the U.S. and said that Israel and Hezbollah have agreed to stop the fighting, stop the shooting, and that essentially there was peace between those two sides. Bibi Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, came out with a slightly differing view, saying that they would agree to stop fighting if Hezbollah also agreed to stop with the violence.
Sorry about that, guys. I thought my headset was connected. Probably an echo there for a minute. All right, folks. Well, here we go again. Conflicting messages. We got Iran, or whoever that is, because we have yet to even see or know who the supposed new supreme leader of the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, not Iran the people, who are completely different than their controlling government. Someone there who Bloomberg did not say specifically, they just used personification. And that's the one thing about Bloomberg that you got to take with a grain of salt, is that they're controlled by Mr. Bloomberg himself, the guy who spent billions of dollars making ads during the election to disparage Trump, to his dismay, was they constantly force them to do and say certain political things. So when it comes to the political stuff, just keep that in mind. Iran is a country, obviously it cannot talk, so without, they know the audience, being at professional advisors like myself, know better than that. It's kind of insulting, honestly, but they're second to none when it comes to market information. I give them that. So we watch it. Plus, we do want to get the other side's view. I got here Wall Street Journal, mostly Republican. Then we have Bloomberg here, Democrat. So I'm giving you a balanced presentation. That's fair. That's what professionals do. It's called fairness. Do care. Something that seems to be lost these days with professionals. Not going to mention any names. Anyways, back to our regularly scheduled program. NVIDIA's CEO. Oh, no, different one. Really? People like me. People like me. That's right. Do the right thing for your clients, the money will come to you. And this is Whitney Financial. Gearing up for the latest jobs report. That naughty crumpet. That naughty crumpet, Lisa. That naughty bit of crumpet. Yet, caveated. Cobots. The hell's a cobot? Mm. For y'all nerds out there, did you hear what he said at the very end? He said you can achieve hand dexterity by putting the robot on wheels. For sorting out stuff, that certain things that you can only do by hand normally are being scaled now. So here's my notes here. Summarize what we just saw. So the gentleman is the Bloomberg journalist interviewing ABB Robotics managing director, Line Industries managing director, and he was saying basically NVIDIA's no, that's the difference. But he was saying that traditionally the robotic efficiency rate at successful processing in general over the industry has been historically 50 to 60%. Now he's saying that the efficiency is like 95 to 99%. So, in other words, we've come a long way with AI robotics. But he's saying here their ABB robotics, he's touting ABB robotics and that they're going from pilot to actual production. So their test subject, their prototype is now actually becoming a operable, scalable product that they can offer at 95 to 99% efficiency. All right, let's hop back here. Oh, cool. What a good interview. This is someone you want to listen to. And when they add someone, that stock goes up a lot. They get added to all these different industry and buyers. I'm not going to comment on those. You know what? That read between the lines. That one. That one. That's what I was talking about earlier. All right, guys. to sum this up real fast. All right, so we are interviewing he was interviewing Catherine Clay, who is the S&P Dow Jones Indices CEO. They're the ones who make the indices like that you see on here. Excuse me. Like the S&P 500 futures, which is a derivative of these U.S. indices, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500, and the Nasdaq and the Russell. Those are separate entities, but these indices are the benchmark for just about every major type of financial product or service that's out there. And so whenever a stock is added to the list, the Dow Jones, you just take the top. You take one stock of every single listed stock in the index, and then you add it up, and that's what equal to 50,000. And then the S&P 500, this is an indice that's measured differently. This one takes what is called a weighted average. And so that way companies that are humongous, like, the big tech companies, have a more representative. So you want to look at the S&P 500 as a better representative of that. All right, let's hop back here. I'll go over the rest of the summary when we get done. We got like 5 minutes left. Wow. Three minutes left. Setting up for our positive day. Those futures are going to turn green. These futures are red. You see that? Let me change this to a 1-day chart. But this will, I bet this turns green in like 2 minutes. All right, this should be a quick commercial. They're going to come back because we got like 1 minute left here. All right, quick summary here. Um, Basically, on the last one, wrap that one up. Passive flows. These, they got the indices. You add a stock to the Dow Jones. All these other companies, these like big like mutual funds, pension plans, they start every time they start adding money to their portfolios. Now they're now adding money into these new companies that are listed in these indices that set the standard. And so a surge of buying goes into these individual stocks once they're added, and the expectation of that, not the actual event itself, drives the price up. And then the event happens, and that's called selling the news. Then it confirms. And so the people sell the news. There's probably a dip, maybe 20%, and then people buy the dip if the news is going to be a continued driver or not. So just some trading knowledge for y'all subscribers out there. All right, 7 o'clock. See what the I'll give you a summary of the last one after this. That last one. Here we go. Okay, Young Lee, Bloomberg's Intel News reporter, was saying that the inflation numbers the inflation print in South Korea came out at 3% plus. Why is that important? Because South Korea is like the harbinger of the market. They front run the market. They're right there at the opening of the kind of the next trading day, so to speak, and they're just really good at trading. Their central bank is in on it too. I mean, they know what they're doing. Um, so he was saying the planets align before the next central bank meeting, Bank of Korea. So we're expecting a hawkish decision, which should be a harbinger for the market, as the president doesn't necessarily like hawkishness historically, although he is flexible enough to change his mind. But higher for longer oil prices is a reality. I think it's a hard pill to swallow that it's going to be a driver for inflation. Um, they're saying gains for stretching the Cosby and tech already, but then all the positive news that came out again on AI continues to rally, and but the .com rally went for a long time, and if you missed out on that, you were just you're eating crow. Then they're talking about chipflation. So the chip stocks rally, all those gains people have made money are now taking that money and spending it, which is also an incident. We call it incident indicator, but it's a driver of inflation as well. So, all right, back to the program here. We got 40 seconds. Yeah. Yeah, for now. Yeah, come on. Go up. Go up. Go up. Nice. Look at that. Samsung. Booyah. If you had triple leverage fund, you'd be like at 12. Uh, okay, before we get into another interview here, uh, this is like the after interviews. Okay, so I mean, these guys are very smart. Don't get me wrong, and sometimes they're definitely worth watching. But trying to keep this video within the pre-market opening, as Bloomberg Intelligence provides their main course during that time for the type of strategy I implement as a firm. Uh, for more information, message me and I'll be happy to accommodate you, or just put a message in the comments and we can go from there. But circling back, I didn't get to finish my summary on the Bloomberg News reporter Yuka Young Lee. She was talking about the Cosby having nice run, and the Cosby is a harbinger for the markets. They do a good job of front running things. So you want to see how the market's going to behave in the in the near term. You want to look to Korea. They've been pretty consistent. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results now, people. So keep that in mind. But history rhymes. So we have patterns. Patterns is a feature of life. All things natural have patterns. Just look at the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio. If you don't know what those are, Google them. You'll thank me later. Anyways, back to the program here. See what we got here. They said that tech gains were stretched, but the news that came out from the NVIDIA CEO rebooted the rally. And you know what, guys? The tech bubble, they said it was stretched for years. Okay. I mean, they kept on, after a while, people got so ad nauseum of it. They're like, yeah, we know it's stretched, but that's where all the money, those were the companies where all the big gains were coming from. So all the money was getting focused into, they call it narrow breath or bad breath. And I'm not talking about breath like it's BREADTH breath. And so normally is a normal distribution, statistically speaking, but the distribution of the curve on when you take all the different earnings prices over time got narrowed into a highly skewed channel of earnings amongst what they call the Magnificent Seven, or Mag Seven, which is an analogy on the Marvel characters. But that's the Mag Seven. Are going to be the big ones like Amazon, Google, Tesla, Facebook. I think is in there. Those guys. The list goes on. Microsoft. So as AI continues to drive the earnings, that's where the money is going to be flowing to. And so, just keep that in mind when investing, because even if you are a conservative investor who can't afford to lose because of time, you need to have enough allocation at least to where you're outpacing the inflation that's being caused from the oil prices, which are going to be higher for longer, most likely, because it's going to take time to reboot the system, get all of the logistics resorted, and so on and so forth. I recommend that you reinvest some of your money into real estate, whether it's in a fund or your own personal residence, even, or commercial, even invest. Buying a home right now can be difficult as interest rates are elevated, but they've come down a lot. But hard assets are going to be a good hedge. If you have money in retirement accounts, you can't necessarily invest into a house without incurring usually a taxable event. So in order to get that money out, you got to pay taxes on it because it's been tax deferred. Your deferrals into your 401k later are taxed at your income when retirement, and you take those distributions. Now, some people may have money in Roth IRAs. Consult your tax advisor for that, but you may want to consider taking money out there too, which would be a return of basis, and there's no taxes on the basis of that Roth IRA. However, there's a lot of things that an advisor like me, working in conjunction with a tax advisor, a CPA, or an enrolled agent, like my tax advisor, Keith Schmidt. I've known him for almost 20 years now, and never once has he not done a good job. Every time. And he's so detail oriented that there was times where we had to readjust some of the legal and perfectly accurate deductions because we had written off too much. So I was trying to get this a long time ago when I bought my house, like back in December 2009, and we had to get the income more appropriate. And the lender was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, I just pay the taxes on it." And so I think the IRS is not going to have a problem if I'm going to pay more taxes. They're like, "Well, yeah, I think we do agree with that." And I was like, "Okay, well, how much income do I need to qualify? Give me a number. I'll go back to the CPA, being the advisor I am. We will make it work with the most, we'll choose the deductions that he uses it used to be called Pro Series, but now with AI Pro Series is probably even better. But, he would plug it into his software and we'd work a couple scenarios, and we did this with my clients. So like a lot of times the savings alone from just working with advisors like us who are working very cohesively is enough to fund the retirement. Otherwise, they'd end up having to pay in taxes unnecessarily. And so, there's a lot of things we do. But getting back to the program here, you want to have at least enough allocated in your portfolio to outpace the inflation that is most likely going to come as a result of this oil increase. However, over time, when everything catches up, the oil prices will most likely plummet in the extreme amount as the supply will catch up, because the redistricting of the supply chains will most likely correct a significant amount of the inefficiencies that were presented, to which about half of those have been eliminated by neutralizing the Iranian revolutionary government that's been wreaking havoc over the strait. And they basically signed their own death warrant by bombing all their neighbors. And honestly, that's why I think we're getting conflicted reports here. Trump says we have a deal working out. It's gonna, what did he say? It's gonna help everyone. It's gonna work out well, quote unquote. And then he says we're negotiating. And then supposedly someone, I don't know who this is reporting this, but somehow in the news they're saying that Iran, and without naming a spokesperson, and by the way, we're yet to see who this new Ayatollah is. The supreme leader is not showing his face. So I wonder, is Trump even talking to the supreme leader? Or maybe Trump is talking to supreme leader, but these other people are controlling are they talking to the same person? Because they're attacking Israel. They're attacking, allegedly, U.S. Container ships. Meanwhile, Trump is, praising a deal working out. So, the question is, is Trump talking? Are they talking to the same person, or is this another Trump 4D chess move? Because honestly, Matt, between you and I, a man like Trump is not going to negotiate in good faith with a group that is faithless. So faithless that they chant death to America every day. And so faithless that they have attempted his life multiple times now. Do you think he's going to let them live? Just common sense, okay? I'm not pushing Republican or Democrat. Anyone, any human being that has power to do it. He's buying time, guys. He's got an ace up his sleeve. And if I know past performance doesn't guarantee future results, but if the past is any indication, suffice to say, I would not bet against Trump. That's my advice. And I say that in the most objective, non-conflicted way possible. I do acknowledge that I am a supporter. I am a staunch supporter. But if you can put that aside for a second, just look at me in my eyes. He ain't going to let that fly. Mark my words on it. All right, guys, that's the KW Podcast signing out here. Thank you for your viewership. I appreciate it. I can't wait to show off my new studio, by the way. It looks so good. We're at my dining room table right now. All right, well, I look forward to it. Signing out. See you in the next one. Pow, pow.